All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into the world of space technology. And you know what that means?
More SpaceX.
Exactly. It's been all over the news. They just had their 8th test flight of Starship. And, well, let's just say it didn't exactly go to plan.
Yeah, fiery is a word that comes to mind.
Fiery is a good word. We've got some articles here from the New York Times and CNN. And basically what we're going to try to do today is break this down. For someone who maybe, has heard the name Starship but doesn't really know much about it.
Yeah, like what is this thing? Why should I care? Is it just a big firework?
Right, exactly. So to start with.
Well, it's definitely big.
Okay, so it's big. Like how big are we talking?
Bigger than the Statue of Liberty, bigger than any rocket ever built, actually.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just some little science project. This is
meant to go to the moon, to Mars, eventually.
So this is like the real deal. This is the future of space travel kind of thing.
And that's the idea, yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture, so paint the scene for us.
So it's March 6th, 2025. You're on the Florida coast. Beautiful day. Maybe you're on a beach, having a picnic.
Yeah, soaking up the sun.
And out on the launch pad, you see it, Starship number 8, ready for takeoff.
I bet there are tons of people watching. I mean, this is a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Beaches are packed. Boats are out on the water. Everyone wants to see this thing fly.
And I'm guessing they got quite a show, although not the one they were hoping for.
You could say that, yeah, so both of our sources here, they describe how the upper stage, that's the part that's supposed to separate and carry the crew or cargo, it starts spinning out of control, like right after liftoff.
Oh, no, so not just like a little wobble, like really spinning.
Yeah, seriously spinning, and then boom, it explodes.
Oh, wow, I bet that was something to see.
You can actually find videos online, people who are just like hanging out on the beach, and suddenly they're filming this massive fireball streaking across the sky.
That's wild. I mean, it's kind of a reminder that space travel, even with all the technology, is still pretty risky, right?
It definitely is. There are so many things that can go wrong.
So the big question on everyone's mind is, what caused this? Do these articles give us any answers?
Well, they don't pinpoint the exact cause of this particular explosion. SpaceX is still investigating, which is pretty standard after these kinds of incidents.
Makes sense. So what are some of the theories?
Well, there's some talk about a possible propellant leak, kind of like what they suspect happened with the last test flight back in January.
Oh, right. Flight number 7, that also ended pretty dramatically.
It did, and they think that leak might have been in the aft section of the rocket.
Okay, hold on. I got to ask, what's the aft section? It sounds kind of nautical.
Uh-huh. It does, doesn't it? Basically, it's the back end of the rocket.
Okay, like the rear end.
Exactly, where the engines are.
Oh, right. Kind of an important part of the whole rocket thing.
Just a little bit. And a leak there could mess with the engines, cause all sorts of problems.
Like spinning out of control and exploding kind of problems? Yeah, not ideal. And speaking of things not going to plan, remember those videos we were talking about of flight number 8 exploding?
The ones from the beach?
Yeah. Well, imagine filming something like that. But instead of a rocket exploding in the distance, it's debris from a previous test flight.
Falling out of the sky.
Yep, and landing right on top of your car.
Oh, you're talking about that incident in Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, debris from Flight 7 ended up landing there. Some of it even hit a car.
It's a good thing no one was hurt.
Can you imagine? You're just driving along, and bam, a piece of SpaceX rocket lands on your hood.
I'd probably need a change of pants after that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good reminder that space travel isn't just about what happens up in space. There are consequences down here on Earth, too.
Absolutely. We have to think about the whole picture.
So, okay, 2 test flights in a row now have ended in explosions. You'd think SpaceX might be feeling a little discouraged at this point.
Well, if they are, they're not showing it. Their whole philosophy is about rapid, iterative development.
Which basically means
build fast, test, learn from your mistakes, and do it all over again.
It's like that move fast and break things mentality you see in the tech world. Except in this case, the things breaking are giant rockets.
Yeah, the stakes are definitely a little higher here.
So I guess the question is this approach working? I mean, on the one hand, they're making progress.
They are, but it's also led to some pretty spectacular failures.
And there's a debate about whether this is the right approach for spaceflight.
Right. Some people say it's too risky, that moving this fast could lead to overlooking important safety details.
But others argue that it's the only way to push the boundaries of innovation.
It's a tough one. There's no easy answer.
And it's not just Starship that's been having issues, right? Our sources also mentioned some problems with SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets. And those are supposed to be their more reliable workhorses.
They are, but even the Falcon 9 has had a couple of hiccups lately.
Like what?
Well, in February, one of the upper stages didn't deorbit properly after a mission.
Hold on, deorbit, what does that even mean?
It basically means intentionally bringing the spacecraft out of orbit and back down to Earth.
Okay, so this Falcon 9 upper stage, it just decided to stay up in space.
Kinda, yeah, it ended up as a piece of space junk drifting around for weeks.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound good.
And eventually it fell back to Earth over Europe.
And did it cause any damage?
Well, there are some reports that debris might have landed in Poland.
Oh, wow. So even when they're not exploding, these rockets can still cause problems.
It just goes to show spaceflight is still a very tricky business.
Even for a company like SpaceX, with all their experience.
Yeah, it's a humbling reminder that we haven't completely mastered this whole space travel thing.
Okay, so we've got SpaceX over here building rockets, launching them. Sometimes they explode, sometimes they don't. Where does the FAA fit into all of this?
Good question. The FAA is the one who regulates SpaceX and all the other space companies.
So they're kind of like the referees, making sure everyone plays by the rules.
Exactly. They have to approve every launch, make sure it's safe.
And I'm guessing after these recent incidents, they're taking a closer look at things.
Oh, yeah. They've grounded Starship flights after each one, until SpaceX figures out what went wrong.
Which makes sense, but our sources point out something kind of interesting.
What's that?
It turns out that the FAA has actually hired some SpaceX employees to help them upgrade their own systems.
That does seem a little, I don't know, cozy.
Yeah, like how can the FAA effectively regulate SpaceX if they're relying on people from SpaceX to help them do their job?
It's a valid point. It raises questions about potential conflicts of interest.
And it highlights the challenges of regulating this rapidly growing industry. I mean, on the one hand, you want to encourage innovation, but you also need to make sure things are done safely,
It's a tough balance to strike.
especially when you're talking about something as ambitious as Starship. SpaceX's ultimate goal is to put people on this thing, right?
Yeah, they want to send humans to the moon, to Mars, eventually.
So that raises a whole other set of concerns. I mean, imagine being one of the first passengers on Starship, knowing that just a few months ago, the same type of rocket exploded in midair.
I don't know if I'd be first in line for that ticket.
Me neither. You'd have to have a lot of trust in SpaceX and their technology.
And that trust needs to be earned through a track record of safety and reliability.
Which is something they're still working on, to say the least.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Explosions, debris, regulatory hurdles. But we've only just scratched the surface of this deep dive into Starship.
There's so much more to explore, like SpaceX's plans for the future, the potential of reusable technology, and what all of this means for the future of space travel. We'll delve into those fascinating topics right after this. So before we took that little break, we were talking about all the challenges SpaceX has been facing. With their Starship program, 2 test flights in a row, ending in big explosions. Definitely not the smoothest start.
Nope, not at all, but they haven't let that slow them down, you know?
So what's the plan? Are they just going to keep launching rockets and hoping for the best?
Well, they are planning a lot more launches, something like 25 this year alone. But it's not just about launching for the sake of launching. It's about testing and learning.
Right, that whole rapid iteration thing they're known for.
Exactly. Build fast, test, figure out what went wrong, and then build and test again.
Which makes sense when you think about it. I mean, spaceflight is a pretty risky business, right?
It always has been. You're pushing the limits of technology, working with some incredibly powerful forces. There are bound to be some bumps along the way.
And those bumps can sometimes be pretty big, literally.
Yeah, no kidding, but that's part of the process, and SpaceX understands that.
But it's not just about speed, right?
Right.
At some point, they need to start showing some reliability.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they're serious about putting people on Starship.
Which is still the ultimate goal, sending humans to the moon, to Mars.
And you can't do that with a rocket that has a tendency to explode.
No, you definitely don't want to be cutting corners when human lives are at stake.
It's a delicate balance, right? Pushing the boundaries while also making sure everything is as safe as possible.
That's like walking a tightrope. High stakes. Lots of potential for things to go wrong.
But that's what makes it so exciting, isn't it? We're on the cutting edge of exploration here.
And it's not all doom and gloom, right? I mean, even with these recent explosions, Starship has already achieved some pretty incredible things.
Like those booster landings.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like that?
It's mind-blowing. That giant booster stage comes back down to Earth and lands perfectly upright. Like something out of a science fiction movie.
It really is a game changer. I mean, no other rocket has been able to do that consistently.
And it's not just about the cool factor, it's about making space travel more affordable.
Right. By making the booster reusable, They're cutting down on the cost of each launch dramatically.
Which opens up so many possibilities for research, for commercial ventures, even for space tourism.
Suddenly, things that seemed impossible just a few years ago are starting to become reality.
And it's inspiring a whole new generation of scientists, engineers, and dreamers.
Like we're entering a new era of space exploration, and Starship is right at the forefront.
It's an exciting time to be following all of this.
But with all this excitement, we also need to be responsible, right? I mean, we're talking about pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. We need to make sure we're doing it in a way that's safe, sustainable, and ethical.
Absolutely. As we get more ambitious with our space exploration goals, we need to think carefully about the impact it will have on the environment, on international relations, even on the future of humanity as a whole.
Yeah, these are big questions, and there are no easy answers.
But that's what makes it so fascinating, isn't it? We're exploring the unknown, figuring things out as we go.
So with all that said, where do we go from here? What's next for SpaceX and Starship?
Well, knowing them, they'll probably take these recent setbacks as a learning opportunity. They'll analyze the data, figure out what went wrong, make some adjustments, and then they'll keep pushing forward, just like they always do.
They're nothing if not persistent, and they've set their sights on some pretty ambitious goals.
Mars is still the ultimate prize, and despite all the challenges, they seem determined to get there.
And while that goal might seem incredibly far off right now, it's also symbolic. It represents that human desire to explore, to discover, to push the boundaries of what's possible.
Like that famous quote, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
Maybe Starship will be the vehicle that takes us on that next giant leap.
It's certainly possible, but even if it doesn't, the technology they're developing, the knowledge they're gaining, it's all going to pave the way for the future of space travel.
It's all part of a larger story, a story of human ingenuity, perseverance, and the pursuit of knowledge.
And it's a story that's still being written. With each test flight, each success, each failure, we're learning more and more about what it takes to explore the cosmos.
And who knows what incredible discoveries await us as we continue to venture further out into space. It really does feel like we're living in a pivotal moment in history.
I agree. It's like all these different threads are coming together right now. We've got the technology advancing at an incredible pace. There's a ton of private investment pouring into space. And there's this renewed sense of wonder and excitement about space exploration.
Yeah, it's like everyone's looking up at the stars again, dreaming big dreams.
And SpaceX is right there in the middle of it all with their bold vision of, making humanity a multiplanetary species.
It's a vision that's both inspiring and a little bit intimidating, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the challenges are huge, but the potential rewards are just as big.
No doubt about it, but that's what makes it so exciting. I mean, think about it. We're on the cusp of a new age of discovery, a modern-day space race. But this time, it's not just about national pride. It's about expanding our knowledge, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And it's not just governments leading the way anymore, right? We've got these private companies like SpaceX bringing in new ideas, new approaches, and really shaking things up.
It's a whole new way of doing things, and it's leading to some amazing innovations.
Like those reusable rockets we were talking about.
Yeah.
That was once considered science fiction.
And now it's becoming routine for SpaceX. They're landing those boosters back on Earth like it's nothing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not just a technological marvel. It's also changing the economics of space travel.
Yeah, reusable rockets have the potential to make space travel way more affordable.
Which could open up so many doors for more scientific research, for commercial ventures, even for space tourism.
Imagine a future where, flying to space is as common as flying across the ocean.
That's wild. But it's not just about reaching new destinations, right? It's also about the things we learn along the way.
Exactly. Space exploration has always been a driver of innovation, pushing us to develop new technologies, new materials, new ways of thinking, and those advancements have a ripple effect on every aspect of our lives.
So the benefits of space exploration go far beyond just putting a flag on Mars.
Absolutely. It's an investment in our future, in our knowledge, in our understanding of the universe.
And it's a reminder that we're capable of achieving incredible things when we set our minds to it.
It's a testament to human ingenuity and our drive to explore the unknown.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Starship and the future of space travel, I want to leave you with this thought. What will our legacy be?
What mark will we leave on the universe? What will future generations say about our time?
It's a big question. And it's one that we should all be thinking about as we continue to explore the cosmos.
We're at a crucial point in history, a point where we have the opportunity to shape the future of humanity and our place in the universe.
So let's make sure we do it right. Let's explore responsibly, sustainably, and with a sense of wonder and awe.
And let's never stop dreaming big, pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible.
Because the universe is vast, and there's so much out there still waiting to be discovered.
So keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep exploring.
And join us next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world around us.